Hello everyone, my name is Sophie and welcome to my new video. That smile was fake. I'm not happy. Listen, I finished this book 2 seconds ago and I was ready to go. I had everything set up. I was like, I just need to finish this book and then talk about it. But now that I've finished it, I just want to sleep for like a week straight. I'm gonna give my disclaimer first because people will get mad, I think. Saying something like this is the worst book on TikTok will get people mad, regardless of what book it is. The Zodiac Academy should not call itself a book. It is a terrible series that has Wattpad quality. It should not be hyped the way it is. It should have stayed on Wattpad. It should not be a book. I don't know if it's like a bestseller or anything. But imagine writing a book. Imagine 2 people writing a book and producing this. I would give it like negative stars if I could. If this is your favorite book, if this is your favorite series, if you love this, please don't get mad. I'm not insulting you or the authors. Well, I am insulting the authors, but I'm not insulting you, okay? Because you can like whatever you like. Just because it's not for me doesn't mean it's not gonna be for you, okay? But I'm genuinely in disbelief, okay? Genuinely. I'm flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted with this book. I've read a lot of books in my life. And a lot of times on my channel I've said, this is the worst book I've ever read. This is the worst book. But this is 100% the worst thing I have ever read. If this was on Wattpad, okay? Or on any other online platform, and I had read it, I would have been like, okay, this has Wattpad quality. Like, this is okay here. Like, whatever. I'm not expecting a book. But this... I looked it up, okay? This is a 9-book series. It's supposed to be 8 books, and then a 9th book was announced. But the 8th book is coming out this year. Now you're gonna ask me, okay, then when did this series start releasing? In 2019. In 2019, the 2 authors, I don't even fucking know their names. I don't want to know their names. Fuck them. They published 3 books. The first 3 books of the series were published in 2019. Imagine publishing 3 books in a year. And then you go on TikTok and people are like, this is slay. This is not slay. It's not, guy. Wake up. I wasted my time reading this. And I asked on my Instagram. I said, hey guys, what do you think I should read? And then I put the Zodiac Academy as an option because sometimes people commented, oh, I want you to read this. And I didn't know what it was about. I just knew that people on TikTok liked it. And I put it on my story and then people messaged me. They messaged me on Instagram and they said, don't read it. Don't waste your time. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna read it. I'm no better than these main characters who do everything that they're not supposed to do. I read it. Listen, I need to be in the loop. Okay, that's also why I read another Colleen Hoover book. Like, I need to know what's up. I need to know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it. And so I don't want to be like sitting around and be like, oh, I want to know. I have to know. This book is called The Zodiac Academy. This has nothing to do with the zodiac signs. I will talk about it when I'm talking about the plot, but the whole extent of which you get the zodiac signs, zodiac signs, sorry. The whole extent of which you get is them getting daily horoscopes. And that's it. Like, nothing, there's nothing else. Like, I don't know how the magic system works. People are just mad. You know what I fucking saw? The other day I was at work, okay? And I had my break and I was like, I don't want to read the Zodiac Academy. I want to watch TikToks about it. And then I watched people talk about it on TikTok and they were like, oh my god, this is everything I ever wanted. This is like Harry Potter meets something. And I was like, Harry Potter? Harry Potter? I don't believe that any series should be 9 books long. Peace of love. There's no need to be like a 9-book series. There is no need, especially for a series like this. You could have wrapped it up in, like, this first book wasn't even a book. You could have written, like, what the fuck? You could just condense it, okay? Things are unnecessarily drawn out, and I feel so bad sitting here and critiquing this because I literally make critique videos about Sarah J. Maas books. Putting this next to a Sarah J. Maas book, like, love her or hate her, I'm losing my mind, okay? I feel like a critic, you know, the food critic that went to McDonald's for the first time. I'm putting myself on a high horse here. I'm not that important. There is no zodiacs going on here besides people being like, I'm a Gemini, I'm a Taurus because I'm stubborn. No, what are Tauruses? Whatever. I don't know that much. I'm a Capricorn. Oh, maybe he's a Libra. Maybe he's a Sagittarius. Jacob Sartorius? No, guys, I don't know. I was hoping to learn more about the zodiac signs, but you know what? I'm so bad actually that I didn't write this series because I think how much money are these people making? Because like I could have made that. I could have done this. And I say this about every book I read. Like I could have done it and I could have done it better, but this one I'm being for real. Like I'm being absolutely for real. Let me just talk about it now, okay? Because like I don't even want to talk about it. Honest to God, like this book is marketed as a bully romance, and I've never read a bully romance, so obviously I'm sitting here on this fine Saturday. It's literally Saturday night. I could be on a fucking Halloween party. Oh my god, it's Halloween. I need to dress up. Happy Halloween. Meow. This is my Halloween special now. Wow. At a Halloween party is what I'm trying to say. But instead I finished the Zodiac Academy, the first book. It has a name. I don't know it. Whatever. The Awakening, it says it right here. I'm lying. It's marketed as a bully romance, and it's not a bully romance. So I've never read one, and I'm a firm believer that I should try out things before I decide that they're not for me. And I read bully romance, and now I understand that it's not for me. But then again, I don't really see the bullying in this book, because to me, bullying someone is calling them ugly. Like, haha, fugly bitch. But in this book, like, the bullies are trying to drown the main characters and like beating them up and I don't know, biting them and like I think that's just assault. Peace and love, like that is not bullying. That's just like you should go to the police. We follow two main characters, Darcy and Tori. Now, funny fact, okay? Tori, their last name is Vega, which Tori Vega, and they're from Chicago. So in my head, I was just imagining from Victoria. I have no idea what that was. That was the ghost, the spirit of Halloween, I think. In my head, I was just imagining the Vega siblings from Victorious. Tori and Trina. And not Darcy and Tori. Tori and whatever. You know, that's who I was imagining in my head. However, the issue with them is that they are... No, it's not an issue, but they're Gemini. And they're Gemini twins. And that's like even more rare. Because this, you have to imagine, as I said, it's Wattpad. But you have to understand that this is incredibly 2012 I'm special and I'm not like other girls story, where literally every single trope that you can think of is being like checked off. Like I think these two women put a list down, like they have a Google Doc or whatever where they shared their ideas, where they're like, not like other girls, super powerful, super rare, lost air, whatever, like all of those things. And then I just checked them off as they were writing. And that's literally what they did, because they have everything that the others don't have. And that, me telling you that explains like the whole plot, okay? Because like there's nothing intriguing about it. And I was on TikTok, I looked at the good reviews and people were like, oh my god, it only, like I'm rereading it because it's so good, and the heartbreak and the intrigue and the mystery. And I don't believe it, okay? Because the writing is so fucking bad and I can't believe it's gonna get better, because they published 3 books in 1 year. The main characters, Darcy and Tori, I will not be referring to them as 2 separate people. I will be referring to them as one twin and the other twin, because they have no distinct voices. You switch between their POVs the whole time. One of them has her hair dyed blue because she's a little bit quirky. We're gonna talk about it. It's actually a very deep story behind it. The other one steals bikes, but yeah, I don't really know. There's nothing special about either of them, so flip-flopping in between the different chapters. I think in the beginning they were trying to go for a little bit of a different POV, because one of them had like italics and was a little bit more sassy in their chapter, and the other one was something else. But as time went on, their voices just kind of merged, and none of the characters are very... like they're all the same. They're all the same. And so I don't know who. I don't know who's who. Peace of love. I tried. But then, why do I keep saying peace of love? I'm really on the peace trip today. The first chapter we get is Darcy. Doesn't matter. The first twin starts. And she's somewhere doing something, which doesn't really matter, because whatever. I'm just gonna read out the first kind of few sentences to you, so you get the vibe of the book before we talk about it more. I was halfway through the window when the police siren sounded. Pause. Breath. Wriggle hips. The window was a tiny thing with a metal latch digging into my belly. But I was underfed and had the determination of a pit bull. You've met your match, Mr. Window. Huh? Yeah, that's the whole vibe of the book. I don't know how old the authors are, but whenever I reach it like this, I just think that they are like as old as my mom, because my mom would probably find this funny. Their parents died when they were young, and now they've been in foster families the whole time, and they don't know what love is, and I don't know, they're just depressed, I guess. They don't have any money. The last person they stayed with was some abusive dude. Who the fuck cares, okay? They are, of course, the lost heirs to the throne, okay? They're changelings, which I don't even fucking know what a changeling is. It's just like a fae. They're fae, by the way. Why are they fae? They're fae that were put into the human world by their true parents, the king and the queen, to protect them. Actually, just the queen, because the king was evil, but that's like in the last pages. Whatever, I'm just skipping it now. So this girl is running from the police because she's breaking into her old foster home. They just turned like 18 or whatever, and she's breaking in because they have a bunch of money left there, and they want to get it, obviously, because it's their money. They hid it in the wall or whatever. She's breaking in to get it. I shoved the cash into the back pocket of my pants, scooped up Pete's toothbrush, and dunked it in the toilet bowl. She does this while she's running from the cops, okay? She is running from the cops actively, but she takes her time to get the dude's toothbrush and put it in the toilet. Yeah. At least she'd secured herself a smartphone. I was stuck with a Nokia from the 90s, which did nothing but make calls, as if that was what a phone was for. Where have you been? She asked, confusion gleaming from her olive green eyes, which were the exact same shade as mine. Like everything about us, bronze skin, our lips full and wide. We were a mirror version of each other, except for my hair's dark blue tips. Maybe that was why we drove each other crazy sometimes. They are beautiful. They are so gorgeous. Like, you have never seen girls as gorgeous as the two of them. And if you have, you're lying. One of the twins steals bikes as a job, and then she wants to get home. She tells the one dude, like, oh, he's like, where do you have to go? I'll take you home. And then she says, just outside Riverdale on the south side. And I think that explains it really well, because, like, first of all, Riverdale being a real thing, I never thought about this. Makes sense. A very generic name. But, like, this is very Riverdale to me, this writing. Actually, Riverdale is better. Could hear his footsteps behind me, and my mind filled with images of my broken body abandoned in a dumpster. Food for the rats and a one-liner in a newspaper tomorrow. Holy fucking shit on a cornflake. Nobody thinks like that. Nobody thinks like that. They were being stalked by a dude the whole day, and he's the super hot, mysterious professor that, like, picks them up from their apartment and is like, you're gonna teleport to the magical world. They're not British, but I think the authors are British. I get the vibe. Because they're from Chicago. But, you know. He stalked them all day, and then he finally catches up to them in the apartment. He's like, by the way, you're the lost heirs to this Fae world, whatever. And his name is Orion, and I will be calling him Orion, even though I saw on TikTok that people were like, oh, it's so funny that you're pronouncing it Orion because his name is Orion. No. Orion. Sorry. Said we're Fae? What does that even mean? We're a different race. A better one. Careful, Miss Vega. Expressions like that are punishable in my classroom. Vega? That's not my name. Wait, please tell me you've got the wrong twins. That is your true surname in Solaria. No one will call you anything else once you get there. Mark my words. We're not going anywhere with some creep from the lobby. What drug are you on exactly? Judging by the fancy attire, I'm gonna guess coke? Look, I have far better things to be doing with my time than standing here in a dingy apartment with a couple of girls who think I'm an addict with screw loose. But I didn't get a choice in the matter, so just humor me, will you? It's giving my mom doesn't have money and just sold me to One Direction, okay? The way he turns up and he's like, you're the lost heirs, you're super powerful, everyone's looking for you, queen. It's giving One Direction. It's giving Liam Payne, which is like the worst you could get. And then the plot just immediately starts up. The pacing in this book is really bad, and as I said, I don't think any series needs to be 9 books long, especially not this one. I don't understand how it is 9 books long, because I don't know how much can even, like, happen in this world. Like, they just keep coming up with shit, I bet. You know what I mean? Like, they can't stop coming up with shit. The authors FaceTime each other, and they're like, you know what I just thought of? And the other one's like, we gotta write another book, bitch. We gotta get on it. Anyway, maybe they need the money. And if you do, you know, just do a GoFundMe at this point, because, like, Please don't publish any more of these books. I bet it pays well. I bet it pays well. TikTok, I saw someone say they should do 12 books because of the 12 signs. But like, the signs have nothing to do with this book, so I don't know why they would do that. They get to Solaria, which is the magical Fae world, which is the same as the human world, but just in Fae. And then they're like immediately in like a circle of freshmen for the Zodiac Academy, and they're being tested for their elements. And they're standing in a circle holding hands with all the other people, and they're like, oh my god, what's going on? What's going on, queens? And then every element is summoned, and I'm gonna like explain this to you. Basically, 1 element is the norm. 2 elements, very rare. 3 never happens. 4 can't even think of it. You are allowed to guess right now, in this moment, how many elements these queens have. Guess. Just a wild guess. Out of the blue. All 4 elements. What? And they can just control them. What? They use their power so many times in this book. The only time they struggle is right at the beginning, when they get to their houses, because this is like Harry Potter, so there's different houses for different elements, and they struggle using it then, but after this they never struggle using their power again. They're just immediately good at it. They have like 1 class or 2 classes for their element, and then they can just use it, and they have like battles and shit. I was like, okay, queen, don't struggle or anything, because they have immense power. They don't just have 4 elements, they have like an unyielding pit of power in their tummy, in their belly. Something deeply animal in the way he eyed us, and I found myself lifting my chin, refusing to cower beneath the challenge in his earthy brown eyes. There was something deeply animal. Isn't it animalistic? Using the term animal to describe the boys. Okay, let's talk about the boys. That's why you're here, right? Because of the sex? There are 4 boys. Their names. Darius. I just imagined the league champ. Sorry. I mean, why not? I would fuck him. Max. Wouldn't fuck him. The name Max is just very like, makes me think of a child. Caleb. I don't know. When I hear Caleb, I knew a dude once that was Scottish and his name was Callum. And so that kind of like reminds me of that. And he was weird. So wouldn't fuck him either. Seth. Seth is the last one. Yes. I would fuck him probably. Because for Seth, I thought of Seth, the league champ. And he's kind of hot. Have you seen his pool skin? Oh. What can I say? These 4 dudes are the 4 bullies. Okay, because this is bullies romance or whatever. And they abuse them. Like, they abuse the fuck out of them. And Orion, or Orion, whatever you want to call him. You know, I don't judge. I only judge the authors of this book. They are the heirs to the throne. Now you're gonna be confused, because you're like, no, Tori and Trina are the heirs. No. It's the... Well, yeah, but like, not really. Basically, after the 2... rulers died, the king and the queen, they didn't have anyone to rule because they thought that the Vega twins, the 2 twins also died. The 1 set of twins, but 2 girls, whatever. Shut up, Sophie! And so they decided that the ruling families, like the families in the council, which are 4 families for 4 elements, they should be taking the throne now. And those are the heirs to those houses, so they are supposed to become the kings. Why are they all men? Why is there no princess? Yeah, I just thought of that. Why are none of them gay? Maybe they are actually, I don't know, I'm on book 1, you know what I mean? But like, there are no lesbians. There's probably only going to be like 1 gay couple, you know what I mean? It's gonna be men. Yeah, whatever. I'm not here to judge, you know, this book was so bad. Whatever. They're now super pissed because of these twins coming. Coming, huh? Because they are the rightful heirs to the throne, even though they don't know anything about the world. They're from the mortal world, so they never learn anything. And so they're rightfully pissed, because they're like, they're gonna take our throne away from us. We've trained all our lives. But it's kind of... like, I can't really believe them. Because they act so weird, okay? Everyone in this book is so weird. Basically, they're Fae. And they have magic, but they also have different orders, which is their, I don't know, magical... whatever! One of those dudes, I don't remember, maybe 2 actually, they are vampires. And there's like rules to everything, you know, to every order there's rules, but I didn't really care for them. So one of the dudes just starts biting one of the girls. and sucking her blood. And I was like so confused because this happens randomly. And I was like, aren't they in front of everyone? Like, didn't they just choose their houses? Or are they not about to choose their houses because people with multiple elements they get to choose? Then the dude just starts biting her. And I was like, where are the adults? They don't care. They're literally in a room full of people and they just watch as this air bites one of the twins. In the middle of everyone. And they're like confused. They're like, why is this allowed? And then it's like, oh, because this is the rules, babe. These are the rules. Basically, vampires, like, all of these different species, that's the word I was looking for, all of these species replenish their power in a different way. If there's like, Darius is a dragon, and he needs to lay in gold. Okay, king, like, that's kind of weird. He just lays in like gold on his bed to replenish his power, and then the werewolves need the moon and whatever, and vampires need to suck blood from people and drain their power to get power of their own. And so obviously he's gonna bite one of the twins because they're so super powerful. And he's gonna get more power from them than from just like a normal dude that has like one element, because they have 4 elements. Halloween is over now. Anyway, there's different species, and I think they put a little bit too much on their plate, okay? There are so many different things. We have 2 vampires in the Mean Boy squad. We have a siren, and we have, what was he? A werewolf. I think it would have been better if they did a little bit less. A little bit less. Quality over quantity, guys. Quality over quantity. Because I was curious, since they don't figure out what order, it's called order, but I'm gonna say species, they are in this book, I decided to go online and Google it. Yes, I did. I'm curious. It says they find it out in book 3. Imagine reading 3 books to find out what fucking order they are when you could have just guessed from book 1. Of course, they are the most sacred and thought to be extinct order, which is the Phoenix. No. No. Why? I'm honestly in disbelief. Like, I didn't know what the most powerful and whatever order was when I was reading the first one, but I knew that whatever it was, they were gonna be it. Tag, you're it. You know what I mean? Like, there's like no way they could have been like a fucking werewolf. I mean, they even try. They test if they are werewolves, but they're not. But you're not the lowest of the low. They could have been that, but they aren't. No. They're just too good. There's like one mean girl. Her name is Kylie. She has blonde hair and she's mean. And then she says her sign and she's a Capricorn. What's your other element? She swatted his chest. You know I got Earth, Sethy. I'm a Capricorn. Why does the bitch have to be a Capricorn? I'm a Capricorn. No, but they introduced their houses, okay? Because you have to choose a house if you have multiple elements. And then they're like, okay, let's both go to the same house. And then the principal is like, no, you're not allowed. For whatever reason. And they have to choose different houses. And so one of the twins goes to the fire house. And the other twin goes to the air house. It's like Avatar. After joining their houses, they go to the houses. Because this is like the Percy Jackson vibe now. I don't know. They just put everything in one book. And did it poorly. They go to the houses and it turns out that they are just kind of like being bullied right away, or, you know, assaulted. Whatever you want to say. Basically, the one of them that goes to Air House, they're like being sagged, so there's a bag put over their head, and then she's led up somewhere and they're like, oh my god, you have to jump, or that's like the you can't join the house if you don't do this. Initiation, right? Whatever. Bitch! I don't care. She's like, oh my god, I'm so nervous. They're like, you have to jump off the cliff or you will not be part of the house. Like, if your power doesn't save you before you hit the ground, whatever. And then it turns out they just didn't put her on a cliff. They just put her in a room. And when she just jumps down a small step and everyone laughs at her because everyone's making fun of her. And then the other girl, she has to like, I don't fucking know, she has to fight off beasts and shit, and then she gets all her clothes burned off, and then she's standing naked in front of everyone. Okay. That's not bullying, that's like, you know, mean. That's very mean. The hot wet pad of his tongue suddenly dragged up my right cheek and revulsion slammed into me. He's a werewolf, so he just licked her cheek and he's like, that's how I say hello. Jacob would never. He would never. He would just imprint on your baby. Then they're holding her over the actual cliff, the one girl that's in Air House, because they're like, no, we're really gonna bully you. Like, we're really gonna, like, make your life hell. Honestly, I felt so bad for her at this point because they were, like, holding her over the cliff and they're like, you actually have to jump now. And she's like, I don't want to jump. And then the dude is like, Seth is like, okay, I'm gonna cut off your hair if you don't jump. Like, either your hair or jump. And then she just jumps. Same girl. You wouldn't catch me with a short haircut. I would look like, I don't know, shit maybe? But this is important for later, okay? Because this is the same dude that cuts her hair later, but we'll talk about it when we get there. Yeah, she jumps off, and she doesn't hit the ground, obviously. This is like page 80 or whatever. I don't know. You know, I think this book was just too much. It was too much, too little time. I mean, that's why it's a 9-book series, but it shouldn't be 9 books. It should be 0 books. It should have stayed in your head. Darius was smirking at me, his eyes dripping over my body in a way that made me look down. I gasped as I realized what he's done. My clothes were gone, burned away by the fire he'd created so that I was left standing before them butt naked. I'd always liked my body and I'd had a few boyfriends. Okay, queen. And flings over the years, so it wasn't like no one had seen it before, but this was something else. Y'all, this is, like, genuinely, this is not, like, bullying. Like, burning away someone's clothes. This is not bullying, this is abuse. This is abuse. This one dude that's a werewolf, he explains, I'm an alpha babe, and this is how I show you who's in charge. You need to forget about rising against me because you won't win. And literally all he did was take her hair and twirl it. And she's like, why the fuck did she do that? And he's like, I'm an alpha. And you're an Omega and I'm gonna fuck you. Maybe they read Omega-verse. Honestly, they did. Like, there's gonna be some Omega-verse shit in this series, am I right? You can't lie to me. You can just be honest. I won't read it. Listen, this is why this world is so insane to me. Because there's something called Fae-book, okay? And it's Facebook, but for Fae? Ha, that's funny. It's not. That's a really bad joke. First of all, the future rulers of this world are going to public school. First red flag. They don't have enough money for a private school. I mean, I'm guessing Zodiac is public. Like, anyone can join as long as they're strong enough. And they're on Facebook. And they're actively posting and insulting people on a social media platform. Imagine King Charles doing that. What the fuck? Max, he goes, a big welcome to Darcy and Tori. Let's call them Dory to make it easier. I'm so glad the Vega twins showed up just in time to try and challenge us for the throne of Solaria, because I've been dying to try out my latest elemental combo attacks on someone. Hashtag water guns. Hashtag weather is better. Elemental combo? He wants to, like, fight them in Super Smash Bros. What the fuck is going on? Imagine your future ruler. Posted that. Then we get to Orion, the teacher who's like also a vampire and he's super hot and he has 2 elements and people are thirsting over him on TikTok because he's a hot professor. But imagine this being your professor. In answer, Orion snatched Diego's arm and dug his fangs into it. He just bit his student without permission. I was like, okay, what the fuck? And then I go like 2 pages further and it gets better. Orion rose from his seat, wandering casually toward the boy with a smile that said he was thoroughly amused. The guy grinned from ear to ear as Orion reached out to him. In a surge of movement, he cracked Tyler's head against his desk, and the entire class inhaled as his smile fell away. Imagine you're sitting in your math class. It's statistics, to make it worse. And it's just sitting there and you're like doing your work and your teacher just comes over and he just grabs your head and smashes it on a fucking table. Man, you're literally a professor. Literally. Like, I can't form words. This is your teacher and he's like assaulting people and then he's like, he has a thing with a student. Like, I don't really know what world we're living in, but this is not it. This is not it, guys. There's a lot of lines in this book that are just bad, okay? The writing in general is very bad. It's very juvenile, and you can love a book even if it has juvenile writing, but in this book, it was just unbearable. The writing was unbearable, which is what it all, like, besides everything that was going on, this is what gave it such a Wattpad effect. There's lines like, smiling like a hyena on crack. His eyes shimmered with heat. I don't know how that works. You have to consider not being authors if, like, this book, I think they wrote it together and they published it and they didn't have an editor. Like, I think if you publish 3 books in 1 year, you don't have an editor, okay? I don't know if they got one later down the line, but these people, especially in the first book, okay, you can be like, okay, this is the first book still. They don't know how to use punctuation. They don't use commas. And this is like a big pet peeve of mine because I don't understand how people cannot have a sense for using commas, okay? Back when I was in high school, I would have friends literally struggle because they would write tests about just using commas and they would struggle, and I never got it. And this is like me on my high horse, okay? Like, you can't use commas, especially if you publish a book, okay? Like high school, whatever. If you publish a book and you don't know how to put commas, don't publish a book then. The sentences would be long. Starting words, what is the word for starting words? No, I'm looking stupid. It would just be I, or the name of the person, the name of the person. They didn't put any effort, okay? They didn't use commas. The sentences would be unnecessarily long, just with and. There, it was so bad. The writing was so bad, okay? This is like, whatever. Basically, they start receiving messages from a secret person, and his name is Falling Star, and he keeps DMing them. He keeps DMing them on Facebook. Start getting cryptic messages for someone on Facebook, being like, "Watch out, the shadow is after you. You will die. Run." I like facts. I'm a Sagittarius, which helps. We love learning new things and are usually pretty intelligent. The signs, oh my god. They read as if they googled, like, traits of the signs, okay? And then they pulled up a list. And then they would just randomly have people say, "I'm this. This is because I like this and this." There's no point in this being a Zodiac Academy because there is no involvement of any Zodiacs. Like, you could have left that out and done it differently and nothing would have changed, you know what I mean? The only thing that happens that's important is the fucking horoscopes they get once a day, and not even every day. Like, I have no idea how much time passes from the day they get there to when the book is over, and they just adapt to their new lifestyle super quickly and everything. It's, I mean, everything about this book is bad. Like, am I being mean? The fire twin goes to fire training and then she gets bit again. This is like the whole back and forth. Like, every time something happens with the guys and they argue and they then get like aroused because they think they're so hot because of course they're super buff. I forgot to mention they're super buff and super hot, of course, and so they're like, I hate them but I want to have sex with them, and then something else happens and they want to have sex, and but this is the whole extent of the plot of this book. She has fire training and her fire professor is literally called Pyro. Then the other girl that's not the fire girl goes to meet with her professor because he gives her one-on-one training because there's something called whatever. Basically, Faye can manipulate others to listen to their will, you know, to make them act on whatever they say out loud, and every Fae can do this, and most Fae are trained from a young age to shield themselves against it, but obviously they couldn't do that because they didn't know they were Fae, and so a lot of people use it to their advantage in this book, and that is why she has a one-on-one with her super hot professor to learn more about it, and he's like the one person that uses it most on them. And before she enters the building, she gets like violently disrespected and assaulted outside. The four dudes meet up and they just like use all of their combined elements to make her super dirty and stinky. She goes into the meeting with her professor and she just arrives like dirty as fuck, and he like makes fun of her. He's like, "Why the fuck do you pull up like this?" And she's like, "You know what? Whatever. Like, I'm over it." She finds out that, one of them finds out, the fire girl, to be more specific, that the picture of her naked when she entered the house were posted on Facebook, and so she figures out who posted them. She confronts the dude in front of everyone like 2 days after the pictures have been up, so of course everyone's seen them, everyone has them, people take screenshots, but she wants to teach him a lesson, and so she just walks up to him and she can just control her power all of a sudden. So she uses her air power to slam him into the wall, and then she uses water to drowse him and like almost kill him, and then she's like, "This will make you respect women." And then Darius is like, "I have screenshots. You want to like drowse me too?" And Darius is one of the ass, and she's like, "No, bye." Like, this is what I mean. She had one training or two at this point, and she's just like in full control of summoning her power. They never had any struggle doing that and finding that within them, even though they've never used it before. And I always criticize this about every book, but that's very pick me. It's very pick me. struggle a little bit, please? As if he'd be turned on by pictures of you, Margaret spat as Darius scowled. Don't worry, Margaret, I said soothingly. It's not your fault that he needs them to get his motor going. I'm sure your hairy bush does it for him once you start bouncing about on his lap. I don't know why we're like making fun of hairy people now. Like, I don't know why she did that. You know what I mean? Like, fuck women, I guess. Let's respect women, but I won't. Like, you have to respect them, I don't. Like, fuck them. What the fuck? Like, if she has a hairy cooch, whatever, you know? Okay, now the things that happen will be summed up for you nicely and tidily by me. Because at this point, I realized that this book was pointless, okay? Nothing was happening, there was no plot. I'm gonna tell you about, like, the little plot that we have going on, but this was essentially a very long introduction to the story that could have been... I don't know what happens in the second book, okay? But this could have been part of the second book. It could have been one book. Because this, you cannot call this a book. Peace and love, if you love this, like, that's good for you, but I don't think you've watched to this point if you love this book. The conflict of the story is that there are nymphs, okay? And they're basically subhuman or sub-fae, and they are not part of the fae. They're not even like a species there. They're something completely different, and they don't have any power. And so to get power, they are killing fae, because if they kill fae, they can extract their power from them and take it for themselves. And so this has been going on for the past 18 years since their parents ruled, twins' parents ruled. By the way, I don't know why Gemini twins are so special. Can you be a Gemini and not a twin? I don't know. So one of the twins listens to the guys talking in the forest. All of this doesn't really matter, but she listens to them talk in the forest and they're like, let's jump her in the morning. And they don't notice that she's there, which is really weird to me because they're supposed to be super strong, super powerful. They're gonna take on the throne someday. And they don't notice that she's behind a fucking tree lurking. How good can you, like, what? Can you, like, pay attention? And then I was like, okay, but, like, she's gonna get exposed by them. No. She doesn't. She follows one of them and to find that he is going to meet with Orion, the professor, and they have, like, something going on. And then they talk very cryptically about something, about killing someone, and it's not the right time. But we don't really know what, okay? And they don't notice her. It's the next day. Don't ask. Basically, as I said, she follows the Darius dude, he meets with the professor, and they are really sussy, and I don't really know what's going on. And I don't care. But she's aware, and they're not aware that she listened or whatever, which is weird to me because they're supposed to be really smart and shit. Well, whatever. Maybe you're not that smart. Then, the next big thing that happens, but, like, honestly, at this point, I was skimming, okay? I was not really reading the pages, I was fast-forwarding the whole time because I just didn't want to read anymore. And I was having a hard time finishing the book because nothing was happening. I think I mentioned before that the only thing that was going on was like going from one thing to the next. And then it was always like something with the boys. You know, they were very much... it's a romance. And so that was the center of it. But they made it in a way that was very boring. Because I think you can also write romance interestingly. They did not. The professor in the next class, he bites one of the twins. And then they immediately posted on Facebook, like, a picture of him sucking the blood out of one of the twins. And immediately one of the heirs, one of the dudes, sees this, comes running in, and starts beating up the professor. He starts beating his ass. Then they fight, and then he's like, I claimed her as mine, you can't take her blood because only I'm allowed to do it. And then the professor's like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna take the other twin, and now they're good. They're gooch. They're like, okay, you take one twin, I take the other, we're fine. And he's actually gonna get with, the professor's gonna get with the twin that he sucks the blood from. I saw it online, yeah, weird. I thought we were past the Pretty Little Liar thing where you're gonna end up with your teacher. We're not doing that today, okay? We're not doing it today, or ever again. Then they go out because we need a party event. I don't really know why. Again, I was skimming. They go to the party and then the secret messenger that they have that doesn't even message them that much. He's like, meet me in the alley. And then they go to the alley and they're like, this is kind of sus. Like, we're out drinking and he's like, come over, and we're just coming over. And then he's like, oh, I can't come because the bad people are coming. And then they get like chased. They get chased and they escape and they run right into the arms of the baddie boys, of the heirs. And then they almost fuck them on the dance floor. They've almost fucked them on the dance floor because they're hot and they hate each other, but this, like, when it starts getting hot and steamy, and it's like, I don't really know what twin is with what dude, but I feel like they're both with all of them. You know what I mean? And sometimes these people in the book can't tell them apart. Can the heirs tell them apart? Probably not. Probably not. And then there's also videos of this, you know, where they, like, get posted online and they're like, look at the twins dancing with the heirs, blah blah blah. I don't really know why they're fighting them, because, like, wouldn't your goal be to marry one? Like, if they are the rightful heirs, like, wouldn't you, like, just try to get with one? Because then you could still be in power? Because they're gonna, like, have a dual rule or whatever? But maybe then we're gonna have a House of the Dragon situation, like, later down the line. Yeah, whatever. You know, I don't think that the authors thought that far. I think every thought that I'm putting into the book, that didn't occur to the authors. So I'm like, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, but they don't deserve it. Because I know they didn't think about it. I just know. One of their super fans, because there's a club that's called the Ass Club, which is supposed to be like a funny bit, and I keep saying it every single time that it comes up, like, this is funny because it's called ass. But why do you mention it every single time? And then one of those members of the Ass Club gets attacked, and that's the super fan club. The people who are like, yeah, you should rule, like, we're your super fans, your majesty, blah, blah, blah. And it's really uncomfortable for them because they don't, I didn't mention this, but they don't want to be the queens. They just want their money and, like, get out. You know what I mean? They just, we're gonna graduate and get our money and leave. We don't want the throne, you can have it. That bitch gets attacked, and it's really sussy. I feel like the mystery in this book was not intriguing at all, because that's something I saw people say, and then they're like, oh, you didn't like the first book? Read the other 9. Bitch, I'm not doing that. Am I watching One Piece? What the fuck? You know, at least for One Piece, it's worth it watching a bunch of 1,000 episodes. Sorry. Did you read the recent chapters? Like, you gotta get onto One Piece now. But you know what I mean? It's, like, so different, like, comparing One Piece to a fucking 9-book series. Like, don't do it to yourself. Honestly, you have to read the first 4 books until they start having sex. No. Y'all, you know what? I'm busy. Anyway, I'm not sure, you know, and basically after the girl gets attacked, it's very obvious that it's nymphs, because who else would just randomly attack her? Because people have been dying, actually. People have been dying on campus. I didn't even fucking mention it, because, like, who cares about the plot? Because the plot isn't even evident. Like, one person dies, you know what I mean? Whatever. And the girl gets attacked, but she survives, and they go visit her, and she's like, oh my god, my attacker smelled of cinnamon. And then one of the twins is like, my professor smells like cinnamon. It's gotta be him. I'm filming a little vlog right now. Behind the scenes. But I don't really know. You know, the twin then goes to the professor. She's like, you smell like cinnamon and you're sussy and I heard you talk. Because she also heard him talk about killing someone in the bar that she was at. Because he was also whatever. There's like one bar. Everyone was like at one bar. There's just one bar in the whole world. Whatever. Y'all. And she's like, yeah, you're the one that killed her. Almost killed her. Tried to kill her. And he's like, I'm not. And she's like, prove it. And he's like, you prove it. Just because she said it smelled like cinnamon, it's because I saved her. And then she's like, okay. And she just believes him. Because in this world, we don't ask any logical questions and we just believe everyone. They don't ever ask anything substantial. Ever. Like, I don't know anything. And neither do they. So, it's fitting, actually. Just to give you a little bit of an example of what, like, the writing in this book. I released a breath of irritation and got to my feet, crossing the fire arena quickly as the other practicing students followed my movements with their ever-watchful stares. Next paragraph. I crossed the fire territory quickly, not giving anyone the chance to come at me on my journey. They used quickly twice. Okay? In the next paragraph, she says, I released a breath, crossing the fire arena quickly. Next paragraph, I crossed the fire territory quickly. Both of those things start with I, first of all. There's way too many I's. Second of all, quickly, twice. There's no other word for fast. I hurry, maybe? This is like an example, you know what I mean? This was, at this point, again, I was skimming the book. I wasn't actively, like, reading every single sentence. I was looking for the dialogue. Because I was like, if I point out every dumbass line and every line that doesn't flow, we're gonna sit here until, like, next year. Maybe even longer. Of course, in here, there's also a line about releasing a breath. Do I have to finish this? Releasing a breath that she didn't know she was holding, but I didn't screenshot it. But I actively remember reading it, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I didn't even, use my energy to screenshot it. I didn't even use it. I was like, okay, you released the breath you didn't know you were holding, because we are apparently back in 2012, and I don't understand why authors still use this line if they know that it's like one of the lines that is made fun of in the whole like book community. You know what I mean? Like, why do you still use it then? Look, come up with something else, bitch. Then the Darius dude, he turns into a dragon to demonstrate that it's his species because he was like laying in gold, recharging his power. Imagine having to fucking lay in gold to recharge your power. That's so shit. Each of his scales glimmered in the light of the setting sun like a million gemstones. The thin membrane of his wings let a soft orange glow through them as he banked hard, weaving across the landscape of the fire territory with more grace than should have ever been possible for such an enormous beast. As if that display wasn't enough to make my heart pound and my desire for him to grow tenfold, he released a powerful roar which made the whole glass structure of the house shudder. She wants to fuck a dragon. That's bestiality, queen. We also get the reveal of why one of the twins has blue hair. And her hair isn't completely blue, it's just the ends of her hair. And I can tell what they were trying to do, and that was be deep and be meaningful. But at this point, they revealed this on in the last 50 pages maybe. I've already encountered too much to take you seriously. He dumped me 5 seconds after he'd gotten what he wanted. I got out of there as fast as I could, and on my way home, I was crying and couldn't see properly. I tripped over on the sidewalk and bashed my right knee like the clumsy idiot I am. That night, I sat in bed just staring at the bruise, wondering how a physical wound could look so bright and angry, but emotional wounds stayed entirely invisible. I wanted my hurt branded on me to remind me never to trust anyone again, so I dyed my hair the color of that bruise. Bitch. He was just a fuckboy. Also, 5 seconds after what he wanted. So you were literally, he just pulled out. You know what I mean? He just pulled out, and then he said, I'm breaking up with you. Damn. You're pussy. Maybe she stinks. No, I'm kidding, but it's not that deep. You know what I mean? He dumped you, yeah, you were hurt, but who thinks like this? It's such a big deal to her, her hair, and that it has as if she can't re-dye it or something. I don't know how often, blue doesn't stay out well. At least not the color of a bruise. It kind of fades out. How often do you re-dye your hair? You don't re-dye your hair. Because she's so adamant about no one cutting it off and it being intact and stuff. And it's what? Huh? So one of them makes out with Caleb. I don't remember who that is. I think it was the water dude. No, it was a vampire. But what is his house? Oh, the earth dude. And then they're making out, and she gets fingered, and that's it. Actually, she just gets fingered, and she's like, "Oh my god, maybe he isn't so bad because he just fingered me, on the desk, in the closet. But I desire more than that, and I am a Taurus. When we set our minds on something, it's not easy to turn us from it." These lines are so random, okay? He randomly drops that he's a Taurus. I don't give a fuck. What does that have to do with anything right now? That you're a Taurus. Your fingers inside of me. His mouth moved away from mine, carving a line of energy across my jaw and down my throat. I tensed as his lips touched against my hammering pulse, but he didn't bite me. Not yet. I'm not sure if he knows where the clit is. And then they have sex, and then he's like, okay, whatever, this is it. Next time we'll fuck. They only fingered. Okay, so... no penis in the cooch. The last few things that happen is basically the tarot teacher, they have a tarot card reading teacher, reveals to be the secret source, which is really random because you saw him once. You don't have any connection to him, and it's okay. It's okay, whatever. Sure. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this information, but slay. Then one of the twins is outside, and Orion, the professor, tells her not to trust Seth. Who is her love interest, because one of them had Caleb and the other one had Seth. It doesn't matter. They are the same person, okay? All of them are the same personality. And he's like, okay, come inside, don't stay out here with Seth, don't trust him. And she stays outside with Seth and makes out with him because fuck whatever other people have to say. And then the worst thing that could happen to her happens. The worst thing. He cuts her hair. And I'm not sure what kind of hairstyle she has now. I'm not sure if it's like a Rapunzel moment because the way it read was it doesn't matter, guys. I don't want to talk about it. He cuts her hair, whatever. And she's like, it's like, in my head it was like slow motion. She's like, my hair. Then the other twin gets drowned. Like almost. I thought you could control your power. Like just get out the water. She almost gets drowned by all of the guys together. They're like, haha, we don't actually like you and your sister. We just made out with you because why not? Because we were horny, but we don't like you. I'm gonna drown you. And I don't really know how this is bullying someone if you're trying to actively kill them. That's like, that's not, I don't even know if that's enemies to lovers. That's just like, that's just very weird. And then I saw TikToks, okay, where people were like, when he tries to drown her, so she sets his room on fire. So I'm just guessing that's gonna happen next book. But like, and then they end up together and get married. Wow. I don't really know how the book ends. Like, that's all that happens really. I'm not gonna talk about it further. This book was really, really bad. It was really ass. It should not be published. It should have stayed online. Shouldn't have stayed in the drafts. You know, people love this type of shit, but I don't really know why the zodiac signs have any purpose in this book. Maybe since this is a 9-book series, you can argue about every critique point that I have. Oh, but it gets better. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it gets better, okay? This book was completely ass, okay? If I compare this to the first Throne of Glass book, the first Throne of Glass book is ass. Straight up, it's bad. Still, it is not as bad as this book. It could never be. This book was not original. I didn't think it was. I could have literally, like, I could write this. Like, honest to God, you could write this. My boyfriend could write this. My little brother could write this. My dad could write this. This was so bad on so many levels with the characters, like, all feeling like the same person. And you didn't really know what made them besides that one bitch has blue hair. And then there was no point in the zodiac signs, even though it's called the Zodiac Academy. They don't ask any rational questions. They just kind of go with it. They're super powerful, never seen before. I think people who like this book are people who don't read fantasy. Okay? They read romance, and then they're like, oh, bully romance fantasy. Let's try it. And then they read this because it's like, they don't really need a good system for magic and shit. Because they don't read other fantasy books, so they just go with it. And that's not an insult, it's just facts. It's just like, okay, like for you that's gotta be good. But for me, this was a terrible experience. And I want to end it all. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I don't really want to talk about it more, honestly. They didn't know how to use words. They didn't use proper language. The prose was ass. They didn't use commas ever. And if they used commas, they were also weirdly put, okay? Honestly. Do you have an editor? Does she also not know how to use commas? Anyway, that's it. I don't want to talk about this further. It was really aggravating to me, and I would not recommend this to anyone, except if you want to hate read it, because sometimes people say, oh my god, this is my guilty pleasure read. I hate this book, but I still read it. Like, don't continue, like, reading the series, bitch. Just watch a fucking summary or some shit, or a review. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more of me, you can follow me on Instagram. You can subscribe to my TikTok. Follow me on TikTok, guys. And other than that, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it a lot. I hope you enjoyed this video. And maybe I'll see you in my next one. Stay happy, stay healthy. Bye-bye.